Yesterday, Rassie Erasmus announced the Springbok 28-man side that will be traveling to Argentina. So in this video, I want to give you my predicted 23-man lineup for who I think is going to take on Argentina in that away test. Now, obviously there's only 28 players, so only 5 players will miss out, but I do think there are a couple of very interesting combinations we need to check out. If you haven't, please absolutely mur that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and as always, drop your opinions down in the comments. We're trying to interview Siya Kolisi and Rassie Erasmus on this YouTube channel, so your support is very much appreciated. Let's get in to my starting 23. Now let's start off with the props. We have 5 options. Obviously, Jan-Hendrik Wessels is sort of that utility forward that can play hooker as well as prop. But I think what they're going to do is start quite an inexperienced side that we've been seeing from the Springboks. We're going to get a lot of guys who haven't been getting some game time. Let them try and go win away from home against Argentina. It's going to be a very, very good test for this group of players. I don't think Rassie Erasmus minds losing this test away from home to Argentina, because we just need 1 point to win the Rugby Championship, and giving these guys opportunities is far more valuable than trying to win every single game. So starting off in that number 1 jersey, I'm going to go for Jan-Hendrik Wessels. I thought he was good against Portugal. We saw him against Australia. I think he still needs time to sort of prove himself, get some more miles in a Springbok jersey. But I do think Jan-Hendrik Wessels is going to start. Then into that hooker position, we can go Malcolm Marx or we can go Johan Grobler. I think Johan Grobler showcased his skills in place of Bongi Mbonambe, and I do think he's going to get the start ahead of Malcolm Marx. Malcolm Marx obviously is a world-class hooker. Probably he is better than Johan Grobler, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him coming off of the bench. Then into that number 3 jersey, I'm going to go for Thomas du Toit. Now, he has had a couple of opportunities this year. We know how strong he is in the scrum. He's going to have to keep the standard of the scrum extremely, extremely high. And the same goes for Jan-Hendrik Wessels because of how dominant the scrum performances for the Springboks have been. So quite an inexperienced front row in Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Johan Grobler and Thomas du Toit, but that's how I think they're going to go. Then into the locks. Now, Rassie Erasmus has come out and said that Salman Murat will most probably captain the side against Argentina, which kind of gives you a hint as to Siya Kolisi's positioning within the team. I don't think he's going to be playing in that away test, even though he's traveling with the guys to Argentina. I think he's going there as the team captain to help out with the training, to help the players. I could obviously be wrong. Siya Kolisi has never won a rugby championship because he was injured when the Springboks ended up winning that. So maybe he will want to play. But I'm going to go with Salman Murat in that number 4 jersey. I'm going to pair him up with Ruan Nokia. Now, Ruan Nokia is going to have to call the lineouts, and we are going to have to fix our lineout woes that have been happening against Australia, against New Zealand. But I do think Ruan Nokia has had a very solid performance in a Springbok jersey this season, and he deserves another opportunity in a very difficult test away from home. We then move over into the number 6 jersey, and like I said, I don't think Siya Kolisi is going to be playing. I just think he's going over there. So for me, I'm going to put Marco van Staden in that number 6 jersey. He has had a couple of appearances coming off the bench. Obviously, he got a yellow card a couple minutes after he came off the bench, so he hasn't had much game time. And again, it's good for him to get that 60 to 70 minutes under his belt in that number 6 jersey. Then into the 7 jersey. Now, with no Pieter-Steph du Toit or Pieter-Steph staying at home, we're going to have to go Ben Jason Dixon, who also gives us a cover in that lock position. Ben Jason Dixon has been phenomenal. Yes, he didn't have a great test against New Zealand at Ellis Park, but his performances have been outstanding, and he isn't going to be able to perform to that level week in and week out. Then the number 8 discussion is Ulrich Lowe. Kwagga Smith could play 8, and then obviously Jasper Visser. Now, I do think Rassie has given Jasper Visser enough time in a Springbok jersey. He had both New Zealand tests. I think Ulrich Lowe performed well against Portugal as well as Australia, and I would be very surprised to see Ulrich Lowe not start this test against Argentina. So for me, I'm going to go for Ulrich Lowe in that number 8 jersey. So it is a very inexperienced pack. Obviously, you've got more of the experience in Marco van Staden, Thomas du Toit, Ruan Nokia to an extent, just because he's a little bit older. But we are going to have some insurance policies on the bench like we did for that second Australian test. Then into the back line. Now, I think this is where it gets really, really interesting, especially because of the guys who are going over to Argentina. So in that scrum off position, we could go Jaden Hendrickse, Kobus Reinach, or Grant Williams. Now, Grant Williams got the start against New Zealand, and I would be surprised if Rassie doesn't back him again. We saw it with Jasper Visser, started the first test against New Zealand. He backed him in that second test. So for me, I'm going to put Grant Williams in that number 9 jersey. We might have someone on the bench to cover him. But again, we're taking Kobus Reinach over and Jaden Hendrickse over. So either one of those guys could be starting. It's going to be interesting to see who he starts and who comes off the bench. But I would go for Grant Williams just to continue this form that he's in. Then in the number 10 jersey, Manie Lebok and Handré Pollard have been chosen to go over. Manie Lebok is going to start. It's not even a hot take. I'm pretty confident that he is going to start. But with Manie playing 10, we then have to decide who's playing 12, right? Because we only have Pollard, Lukhanyo and Jesse Kriel. What I think Rassie Erasmus is going to do is play Pollard at inside center and Lukhanyo at outside center, and maybe give Jesse Kriel a little bit of a rest because his workload's been extremely high at the moment. And I don't mind Handré at 12, Lukhanyo at 13, and then Pollard can kick for poles, and they can just let Manie express himself on a rugby field. So that's what I'm going to go. 9 Grant Williams, 10 Manie Lebok, 12 Pollard, 13 Lukhanyo. Then our 2 wings, we have Makazole Mapimpi, Kurtley Arendse, and Kanan Moody. I would be very surprised to see Kanan Moody not start. So I'm going to, not Kanan Moody, I'd be very surprised to see Kurtley Arendse not start. So in the 14 jersey, I'm going to put Kurtley Arendse. In the 11 jersey, Makazole Mapimpi has not had a bad game in a Springbok jersey that I can remember. And I think Kanan's still sort of coming back into the loop and into the swing of things for the Springboks. I think this is a great opportunity for Makazole to get some game time. So I'm going to go Makazole in that number 11 jersey. And then finishing off the starting 15 is Aphelele Fassi. Now, Fassi's been absolutely phenomenal, I think, for the Springboks. And I even think if Willie Leroux went over, I do think Aphelele Fassi is currently our first choice. I would be very surprised to see Fassi not start against Argentina or not feature in the second Argentinian test. I think Fassi has been absolutely phenomenal, and he's only going to grow from this position going forward. So that's my starting 15. It's a little bit mix and match. There's a couple of youth players, couple guys needing experience, and then you got the likes of Handré Pollard, Lukhanyo, Kurtley Arendse in the squad to sort of pull it together. Then we move into the bench, and I think this is where sort of the insurance policy comes in for the Springboks, because I think it's going to be exactly what we saw against Australia in that second test. We start a bunch of youngsters, and then we make sure that our bench is strong in case we do fall behind or something needs changing. So in the 16 jersey, we have to go Malcolm Marx. He's been absolutely phenomenal for the Springboks, arguably the best hooker in the world at the moment. Then 17 and 18 are our 2 props. We can go Gerrit Steenkamp, Vincent Koch, and Ox and Chur. I'll tell you why I don't think Ox is going to start, because his workload has been so high. I think if Rassie can get away with not even playing Ox in this game, it'll be a massive positive. He can come then play the second test in Nelspruit, and then as we move into the November autumn series tests out in the UK, Ox will definitely feature heavily there. So for me, I'm going to go Malcolm Marx, Gerrit Steenkamp, Vincent Koch. Then at 19, we have to put Eben Etzebeth in there. We need a replacement lock. And again, he's that insurance policy with all the experience that can come on and really turn the game around. In that 20 jersey and 21, I should have probably said, but I'm going for a 6-2 split, which means that my last 2 forward positions are going to go to Kwagga Smith and Jasper Visser. Again, Kwagga Smith, one of the most impactful players in world rugby at the moment, and you could probably even argue Kwagga can start this game just to sort of maybe bolster the experience in that starting pack. But again, I think they're going to give the youngsters a shot and then bring in the experience off of the bench. And then finally, in that number 21 jersey, I'm going to go for Jasper Visser just to cover Ulrich Loh. We've seen them switching out quite nicely. Jasper starts, then Ulrich Loh comes on, or Ulrich Loh starts, and then Jasper Visser comes on. So those are my 6 forwards. And then the 2 backs, I'm going to go replacement scrum off is between Kobus Reinach or Jaden Hendrickse. I think they're going to go for Jaden Hendrickse like they did in the second test against New Zealand. I think he's just a very good complementary scrum off to Grant Williams, and it's good to get some more game time under his belt. And then the final player who's more of a utility back for me is Kanan Moody, who can slot into wing, who can slot into outside center, who can slot into fullback. So that if something happens, Lukhanyo can move to 12, Kanan Moody can move to 13. There's options. So that's how I see the Springboks lining up against Argentina. As always, let me know what you guys think. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.